Well, good morning and welcome to the beautiful game. And that was the most chaotic El Clásico I have seen in recent times. Extremely chaotic. Madrid could have come back. Madrid could have won. Barca had chances. 2 goals down. But let's see if we can take a look at what the Spanish La Liga is serving at the table. Barca already are soon to be crowned champions. Mary, of course, is here on with me. Mary, how you doing? Well. Okay, good. Did you get to see the El Clásico?
Who did not?
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts about the chaos that ensued?
My goodness, I was at the edge of my seat from start to finish.
Okay.
I mean, you know, when we have those 2 teams playing, it's always drama. But this particular one, you just could never tell what was going to happen.
True.
It was quite interesting.
It was chaotic.
And
you know, a number of friends while the match was going, were sending me messages and talking about how Barcelona's high line. Now, Hansi Flick has, can I use the word perfected the concept of the highline football, so much so that he divides the pitch into 2, plays the football into the other opponent's half. So you see, if the offside trap doesn't work, you saw a number of times Kylian Mbappe breaking that line, Vinicius Jr. breaking that line a number of times. But you see, the idea is that you score 2, would always come back. Lamine Yamal and all the rest gave themselves, that chance to always come back, but it might not always happen, and that was what happened against Inter Milan. But let's take a look at the other matches of the Spanish La Liga match day. Quite an interesting one here, I must say. It started off with Las Palmas, who were at home, and they lost to Rayo Vallecano. Valencia defeated Getafe 3-0. Celta Vigo defeated Sevilla 3-2. Girona lost to Villarreal 1-0. Mallorca defeated Real Valladolid 2-1. And this was a shocker. Atletico de Madrid defeating Real Sociedad 4-0. Leganes, of course, 3. Espanyol 2. And this was the big one, like we mentioned. Barcelona 4, Real Madrid 3, Athletic Club 1, Deportivo Alaves 0, Real Betis 1, and Osasuna 1. Now, interestingly, I will get to talk about the table in quite a bit, but this has been quite a disastrous season for Madrid. There's something Lamine Yamal said. He said for Madrid will always be them this season, but calls have risen. Do you think, Mary, that Lamine Yamal is a contender or the front runner for the Ballon d'Or?
I would say a contender. I'm not quite sure about the front runner.
Okay.
Because there are actually some other players that have been really pulling their weight this season. However, I would not put it beyond him to be in the top 5, definitely.
Well,
not top 3.
Don't you think? So a lot of people say that even in Barcelona, the best player this season is Raphinha.
Barcelona's best player is who?
Raphinha.
Because
he has more goals and assist contribution than Lamine Yamal.
You know, you actually do have a point. Because I watch Barcelona matches every now and then. And yeah, I agree with you. He's actually a very good player. I agree with you, as a matter of fact. Okay,
let's take a look at the standings. Like we said, Barcelona look like it's going to happen. With 82 points, Real Madrid, of course, have 75 points. That's a 7-point difference, and we have 3 matches to go. 1 more win, and Barcelona are champions, and that's it. It's over. Let's take a look at down. Okay, for the Champions League positions, they're still Atletico Madrid. Looks like they are sure in 3rd place. Athletic Club, Villarreal, Real Betis, and Antony. They're still fighting, so that's quite an interesting one. They might still get into Champions League, but it was a 1-1 draw for them. They were unable to win over the weekend. And of course, down Valladolid already have been relegated. Las Palmas, CD, Leganes, those are the bottom 3. And that's how La Liga will wrap up. But you know, we cannot talk about football without talking about the EPL, and quite a lot happened across this weekend when it comes to the EPL. Let's take a look at some results, as it were, and went down in the Premier League. Of course, this was the big one. I knew it was going to be very, very sure. You Chelsea fans, noisemakers, where's Dems and all those guys? Very, very big noisemakers, I must say. But let's take a look at some of the results. Okay, maybe let's go from Saturday. Okay. Of course, it was Everton were up against Fulham. This was quite a shocking one because Fulham went ahead, but Everton have fought back. David Moyes has been doing quite well, I must say, since he returned to that team. And they are on the up and up. I think just about 2, maximum 3 league losses in about 12 matches since he came. He has been doing a great job. Ipswich, of course, lost to Brentford. That was expected. Now, this was the shocker across the weekend. Southampton and Manchester City. It was a goalless draw for them. Even though they've been relegated and Manchester City are fighting for top 4, they were unable to defeat them. Wolverhampton Wanderers 0, Brighton 2, Bournemouth 0, Aston Villa 1. But let's get to quite an interesting one here. The interesting one has to be Newcastle versus Chelsea. Were you surprised with this particular result, Mary?
Newcastle versus Chelsea. So, you know, one thing I've realized is there's a reason teams in the Premier League are called Premier League teams, like First League teams. Like, you should never write anyone off. No team is to be written off. And the reality is Newcastle hasn't had such a bad season. And just as you said now, Chelsea and Malt and all, I was actually expecting a lot more from them.
All right. So, for me, it was expected. I'm telling you, I told everybody that cared to listen. Even though Nicholas Jackson didn't make it easy for Chelsea as they conceded, he got a red card in that particular match, and Chelsea had to play on the back foot. Newcastle scored early and then also scored late. So it was a hard position for Nicholas Jackson, who, of course, will not play this season again because that's it. If it's a straight red card, it was a yellow, and then VAR had to intervene for him to get that one. But a shocking one, or not shocking, I remember last week I mentioned that for Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, El Clásico, those two, they are going to be losing. And you know the funny thing, if the bottom three were not so bad, they would be in a relegation battle.
Walai.
Still 38, 37 points. I'll get to look at the table, but they lost at Old Trafford shamefully to West Ham 2-0. Spurs also lost at home shamefully to Crystal Palace 2-0. And then these are the two that are going to play in Europa League final to enter Champions League. Imagine
this season. So it's a wonder just how they've been able to pick up some other places. And that's the advantage of having so many competitions to play. Because now, if they win the Europa League, they might be very close to relegation, which cannot happen because the bottom three were really awful this season. But they might be very close to it. However, they still came up with a trophy one way or the other. Same for Tottenham Hotspur, because Tottenham Hotspur had a rather disappointing season. They started on a good note, which was very impressive. Everyone thought, oh, there will be a team to reckon with this season. However, it's been quite a struggle for Hange's team, to the point that at a particular point in time during the season, people were talking about he might be sacked and all. But then, if he gets the trophy, that would be a good way to save face. But most Arsenal fans are supporting Manchester United to win for a reason. Because with everything that Arsenal went through this season, if their bitter rivals, Hotspurs, get a trophy, and not just any trophy, a European Cup.
okay.
Arsenal will never hear the end of it.
Of course, it happens. Next season, people are they call people what the trending. The trend for Arsenal now, people are called bright. I thought you would not mention Arsenal. You on your own, you can't put yourself, you can't give yourself own goal. You would have just continued this time, just be talking. Bridesmaid, next season, Netflix. Next season.
That's why we are interested to watch.
This is what I wanted to mention. This is what I wanted to talk about. Of course, these three have been relegated. They've been so terrible.
Yeah.
Now with 12 points,
Sadly
Southampton just defeated, broke the record. They almost broke the record because 11 points by Derby County is the worst point tally to ever be relegated. So with that draw against Manchester City, they got 12 points. But look at these two clowns. Look at them. Look at them. How? 16th and like how? So imagine next season, you see Tottenham Hotspur versus Inter Milan or Tottenham Hotspur versus Barcelona. How does it even make sense? So Arsene Wenger has been calling and said that the winners of the Europa League should not be rewarded with a spot in the Champions League. And I think he does have a point because you know what happens now? They've forgotten the league. So you see what happens. They are playing, all their focus is on that final match.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a lot of football integrity comes into position.
Because they're not giving their best
exactly.
Yeah.
Same
thing happened with Liverpool at some point.
If they were not assured of a Champions League position, would they play the same way they did? Now, look at this. Look at this. You have what now? You have teams from the particular position. You have teams from 15th to 7th. 8 teams who are far better than them this season. They will not have the opportunity to play in the Champions League. But these two will not have the chance. So, maybe final thoughts. You think Arsene Wenger had a point? Should the Europa League winners be given a berth into the Champions League?
So, it's a two-edged sword. On the one hand, I'm saying, yes, they should be given a chance. At least winning that trophy, it's a big deal. However, on the other hand, considering the points he made, which is very valid, I do not think they should be given that ticket to the Champions League.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. This May is a month of finals. There's the Conference League final, there's the Europa League final, and of course, tapping to round it up will be the Champions League final. And then we'll get to see which of these clowns will get to Champions League next season. That's it on a beautiful game. We'll take the time out now. Stay with us. It's the top of the hour.